the previous video, I showed you how I spray my engobes onto my pieces. Today, I'm going to show you how I dip the engobes and get a little bit different effect. When I'm doing production on dipping, and it's something that I can't really hold and dip all the way to the bottom, what I do is I use a vacuum pump with this neat little gadget on the end that can be purchased on the internet. The vacuum pump are all over eBay. And that helps me hold that piece rather than trying to do it with tongs, which always needs to be kind of adjusted and dipped again and so on, especially with engobes, because an engobe is really clay. In my case, it's a porcelain and it's a colorant. So I'll show you how that works. I'm going to grab one of these bottles and attach it, and then I'm going to dip it. And I'm going to do two bottles and two different dipping techniques. So let me start it up. So in this case, I will clean that off. I just dipped the top at a little irregularity so that it will look a little different than just doing the top. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip into the black and get a little different look on the sides. Since the engobe has a large percentage of porcelain clay, it helps keep it in suspension. So during a process, I might only mix a couple of times because it does stay in suspension. So I'm gonna dip and roll in this case. When I dip into my engobes, I count to 10. Almost in all cases, to make sure the engobe is thick enough, because you want that color to come through the crystalline glaze after it's been fired. So this is a black engobe. Okay. Boy, I didn't even get any on the foot. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then I'll wipe that piece off later. So when this is fired with the crystalline glaze over the top, this is going to be a lighter value. This is going to be black, red, and black. One of the things I want to show you now is how I wipe the bottoms, especially when I'm doing production. You know, I have 100 mugs that I'm going to be glazing, and oftentimes I get a little bit on the bottom. So I'm going to show you the technique I use to wipe the bottoms. Okay, so I have this neat little oven tray that I found a remnant of carpet that has a little bit of a pile but not high. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put some water in the tray, get this nice and damp. Drain it off, but you still want to maintain some water in there. And then take this piece, and I'll have to wipe this inside here, but I'll just give you an idea of what happens with a very simple wipe. It just wipes off that part on the foot that I don't want, and then over here I just wipe that off. So like that. By the way, normally I'm doing this is a bisque piece. Normally I'm doing this in greenware and bisque firing the engobe right onto it. In this case, I happen to have these two bottles, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'll bisque fire them later again. So, in the previous video, I showed you how I spray my engobes on, which is this technique. And this allows me to blend and gives a whole different look. Okay? And of course, in contrast to a dip, we have these, which need to be wiped off. Okay, like that. And here is an example of a finished piece that is one of the bottles that I make. And this one is specifically the red engobe with some black at the top to give that effect. And here's another one. This is just all red engobe. I really like what happens when you get the background in contrast with the crystal foreground.